All right, welcome to the Explainers. So if you're trying to become a developer right now, you are probably feeling, well, more confused than ever. There is just this massive amount of noise in the industry today, right? We're talking artificial intelligence, brand new tools dropping every week, and completely shifting expectations from employers. It can feel totally overwhelming. But today, we're going to clear all of that up. Let's just dive right into it. We are looking at the 2026 Developer Roadmap. Think of this as your definitive guide to learning coding without wasting years of your life getting lost in all the madness. Because, look, if you spend any time online looking for coding advice, you've definitely heard the panic. Junior developers are doomed. Software engineering is dead. People are seriously panicking, telling beginners they need to learn AI agents, machine learning, and like 10 different frameworks all at once. And meanwhile, someone who's just trying to learn the absolute basics is sitting there wondering if they should even bother continuing. And you know what? That's a completely valid anxiety. AI has absolutely changed software development, for sure. But here's the honest truth. The internet is making this way more confusing than it actually needs to be.
So we really need to flip this panic on its head. The real question we should be asking ourselves is, how do you learn coding without wasting years? Because the reality on the ground is that companies are absolutely still hiring developers. The core difference is simply that the developers who are considered valuable today just look a bit different than they did a few years back. We need to cut through all those random tutorials and shiny new technologies you literally don't even need yet so you can build a real career today.
And to do exactly that, we are going to follow a really clear 5-step roadmap. We've got the AI shift, core fundamentals, active learning, using AI as a GPS, and finally, proof of work. This flow is going to be our guide to taking you from a confused beginner to a really dangerous, highly hireable developer. So let's jump straight into the first step.
Step 1. The AI shift. This is where problem solving becomes greater than syntax.
Listen, there's just no point in pretending AI hasn't changed things. It has. Developers can build way faster now, and companies absolutely expect you to use AI tools. But that doesn't mean they don't need developers anymore. Instead, there's been this fundamental shift in what specific skills are valued. See, for years, the old way of coding rewarded people who could just memorize syntax and commands without looking them up. But today, AI can instantly generate that syntax. So the 2026 way requires a total mindset shift. Companies now pay you for problem solving. They pay you for understanding entire systems, communicating clearly, and making good, solid decisions. AI isn't replacing developers who know how to think. It's just replacing the tedious memorization part. The real skill has always been figuring things out, and that is exactly what you're being paid for now.
Moving on to step 2, core fundamentals. Honestly, it is time to ignore the noise.
One of the absolute biggest mistakes beginners make today is trying to learn everything at once. You know, they want to learn Python, React, AI agents, cybersecurity, game dev, all before mastering the basics of the very first path they started on. Actually, scratch that. Trying to learn everything at once isn't just a mistake. It's a guaranteed fast-track ticket to burnout. You must pick one direction. Whether that's web development, mobile apps, data analysis, whatever, just pick one path to start and stick to it so you can actually build some real momentum. When you're a beginner, everything feels super important, right? And it's so easy to spend months just watching roadmap videos trying to decide what to learn instead of, actually learning. So once you pick a path, let's say web development, for example, you drill down into the core concepts. You learn how the front end looks, how the back end thinks, and where all the data lives. You need to grasp how these pieces connect through things like APIs and version control. And you might be wondering, why does this matter so much right now? Well, because while shiny new AI frameworks change literally every 10 minutes, these underlying fundamentals stay valuable for years. Experienced developers adapt to new AI tools quickly, not because they're magic, but because they deeply, fundamentally understand these core concepts.
Which brings us to step 3, active learning. In short, stop watching and start building.
Knowing what to learn is great, sure, but knowing how to learn is what actually keeps you moving forward. You absolutely have to escape what we call tutorial hell. You know the feeling, where you passively consume course after course feeling super productive, but then you totally freeze the exact moment you try to build something on your own. Watching someone code and building it yourself are two completely different skills. The gritty reality of coding is basically a cycle. You break things, you debug, you get stuck, you fix it, and you repeat. It's exactly like playing a new video game. You don't sit down and read the entire instruction manual before you start, right? No, you just start playing. You press the wrong buttons, you look ridiculous for a bit, and slowly you get better. Coding is exactly the same. You are not supposed to feel ready before you build. Struggling is a required part of the whole process.
All right, step 4, AI as a GPS. Remember, it's a tool, not a shortcut.
Right now, people are making a massive mistake. They're either completely ignoring AI, which will absolutely leave them behind, or they are mindlessly copying and pasting entire projects without understanding a single line of the code. If AI writes literally everything for you, your brain never actually learns to solve problems, and eventually you won't even be able to make the smallest changes. Think of an AI assistant strictly as a GPS for coding. A GPS is incredibly useful for navigation, but if you drive blind without paying attention to the road or the street signs, the absolute second that GPS messes up, you are going to crash hard. AI helps you move much faster, but if you rely on it without understanding the underlying code, you're going to hit a massive brick wall the moment something breaks.
So how do we actually use it correctly? You use it to explain complex concepts to you. Have it help you debug those really stubborn errors. Ask it to review your code and suggest improvements. Or, and this is huge, ask it to explain exactly why a certain piece of code works. You want to use AI as an assistant to accelerate your active learning, not as a replacement for your own critical thinking. Believe me, companies can easily spot the difference between someone using AI to be highly productive and someone who is entirely dependent on it just to function.
And that naturally leads us right into our final step, Step 5, proof of work, turning ideas into reality.
Because here's the deal for 2026. Raw knowledge just sitting inside your head is simply not enough anymore. You must have tangible proof that you can actually build things. You can spend months and months watching tutorials, but if you have nothing to show for it, you're going to lose out to a beginner who maybe has less knowledge but actually has 3 or 4 real projects to show a recruiter. Now, you might be thinking you need to invent the next massive social media platform. You totally don't. The beginner projects that prove your worth are actually beautifully simple. Build a habit tracker, a budgeting app, or a workout tracker. Make a small game, or honestly, just a tiny personal tool that solves a minor problem in your own life. The goal of these projects isn't to impress Silicon Valley investors. The goal is to prove to recruiters that you can finish things, you can debug real issues, learn independently, and turn a messy idea into something that actually functions in the real world.
Because ultimately, the goal here is to become dangerous through practice. And by dangerous, I mean highly capable. Real software development isn't just typing really fast on a keyboard like in some movie montage. It's asking why a button is moving 2 pixels to the left, or why changing one line of code broke 10 other things across your app. Finishing messy, real-world projects is absolutely the best way to prove you can navigate that reality. It proves your value is no longer just can you type code, but rather can you solve complex problems. Which brings us to our final defining question for the 2026 developer. AI can write the code, but can you solve the problem? This is the absolute core shift you need to take away from our explainer today. You don't need to learn every single tool out there. You need strong basic fundamentals, you need to actively build real projects, and you need to use AI to help you think, not to do the thinking for you. If you can manage that, you have a massive opportunity ahead of you. So get out there, pick your path, and start building.